Welcome back, everybody, back to Twilight Struggle, a great strategy game by GMT Games. And in this episode, we'll be playing turn 3. If you recall, we had a total fluke in episode 2, and we attempted a coup in Egypt just to gain some military points so we won't lose too badly, because if at the end of the turn, I'll just show you the marker here, the turn marker in a couple of minutes. You take the number of military points that you have spent, which are by coup attempts, and you subtract that number from the DEFCON, and if that number is greater than 0, then you lose those victory points, or rather your opponent gains those victory points. And we didn't want to lose 2 points, so we attempted a coup with a 1-op card, and by a total fluke we managed to kick the Russians out of Egypt. Interesting tidbit. It was Anwar Sadat, the Egyptian president that succeeded Nasser, who kicked the Russians out of Egypt, and after he was disappointed with their help during the cold or phony or attrition war between Israel and Egypt. And soon after the Yom Kippur War, when he grew closer to the West, and then became then Egypt came under the American hemisphere of the American influence. Sorry. So let's take turn 3. We will have a reshuffle. The DEFCON, like I said, every turn increases by 1. We will have a reshuffle, which means there are not enough cards, and this is also the end of the early game. This is the last turn of the early game. So we'll have a reshuffle, and Nasser is coming up. We'll have to mitigate that somehow, maybe by using the Marshall Plan, I don't know. Well, it's time to choose our headline. Almost all of these events are bad for us. This is actually good to use as during the game. What is Nasser? Really don't want to use this one. We'll use defectors again to counteract the Russian headline, whatever that may be. They're advancing the space marker. Actually, I wanted to show you the space marker. This is the space marker. As you can see, you can gain some victory points in various spaces here. The first player to reach, for example, this spot right over here gains 2 victory points, and the second player gets 1, and so forth and so on. And you can see the requirements here. This requires a 2-ops card, and this requires a 3-ops card, and I use the space race very rarely. Sometimes I can go for games without using the space race. It's a waste of good operation points that you can use, and even if it has a horrible event, you can somehow mitigate that event and not waste it on the space race. But in some cases, when you have a terrible card and you're not in a situation where you can mitigate that card, then you throw it on the space race, and that card does not get removed from play. Even if it has your opponent's event, it gets thrown into the discard pile and may pop up again. That's why I don't like to do it. I like to control when opponents' events will take place. Because if you remember, when you play a card, an operations card, that has your opponent's event, that event will take place either before you resolve your operations or afterwards. You decide, but it will take place. Okay, playing NATO, a lot of influence can cause us lots of damage. Let's think about this for a minute. We're non-existent in the Middle East. why coup Iran where we can just put the points in and use those points for other places? But another consideration is if I coup Iran now, there will be no more coups in the Middle East. Tough decision to make. And also take Israel. Misplace influence. Take Israel the next turn. This is really bothersome. I really hope that the Southeast Asia scoring card won't pop up anytime soon. This could causes problems. The China card. Now will be a good time to play Nasser, or no, well, maybe next turn. Next action round. We will play Comic-Con to place influence, take Iran, take Israel, and also make a move into Libya. And next turn, next round, if we will be able to play Nasser, because Egypt is already under Russian control, we'll be able to take Libya. Maybe turn the tide in the Middle East. Somewhere the Middle East scoring card is out there. Yes. Now would be a good time to play Nasser, right after the Russian player. The Vietnam revolts. Coup attempt. Yes, he's going to attempt to coup either Iran or Libya. Succeeded in doing so, but not too much. Now we will be able to play Nasser and play back into Libya, just to spite, and have our opponent. That is why I like to play these events and control the situation. Excellent event. We will gain enough influence in Japan to control Japan. Turning the tide in Asia. Yes, he had no choice. He had to do it. We will use, however, we'll use the Marshall Plan to regain, take Libya, take the Philippines or Lebanon. Why aren't we dominating? I see. If we take Lebanon, I believe we will be. Well, we can also make a move into Saudi Arabia if we take Jordan. This is a decision time. Do we give up on Southeast Asia? This is excellent. Actually, our operations, a couple of rounds will be +1. Not bad. Could use it. What is the Warsaw Pact? Removal from 4 countries in Eastern Europe, or add in Eastern Europe. Since he played containment, we will be able to play one more influence, which we will use to dominate the Middle East. Yes, of course. We will now try to somehow mitigate that last play by the USSR. Another war between Pakistan and India seems to be a recurring theme. Another failure, another recurring theme. Let's try and coup. No, we can't coup. Take Algeria. Take Angola. Now let's see what the Russian player does in Europe. Just zoom in on Europe just so you can see what he does in Europe. Okay, so Europe is up for grabs. And we lost 2 victory points because we didn't do any military actions this turn, sorry. Hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing. I hope you have earned your subscription. And join us for our next episode discussing the Cold War while playing this great strategy game. Thank you very much for watching. Have a nice day and be well.